Well, if you're watching along on our YouTube screen or with us here on the Talk and Text line, you've seen a very big smile on the face of Chief Washington Correspondent for the MeidasTouch, Scott MacFarlane, joining us from the nation's capital, suited up outside the Capitol building. Hey, Scott.
Good afternoon. Neil, your producer thinks she stumped me. Neil, your producer is wrong. I got this one locked down, brother. This is a group called Men at Large, and they were called Men at Large because they were really freaking heavy. And the song from 1993 is called So Alone.
Okay, you got a double thumbs up from Gina on that. I knew nothing of. I never even heard of the group, for goodness sake.
That's why she thought she stumped me.
Yeah. Well, Scott, you're joining us from the nation's capital. You're also joining us here about an hour after the latest Marquette University Law School poll revealed. And I know you'll find this shocking. You may want to sit down. By most accounts here, a dead heat between Tiffany and Democrat David Crowley here for registered voters who were polled on the gubernatorial race. A dead heat in a purple state. I guess not a big shock.
There was somebody here at the Capitol earlier in the month who told me, I swear to you, that if Statler and Waldorf from The Muppet Show were running against each other in Wisconsin, it would be a dead heat. That it's just the rhythm and the nature of this state in the midterms in an off year like this. They're going to be these neck and neck battles. And it felt inevitable to admit that Congressman Tiffany and County Executive Crowley would have something like that manifest itself in the Marquette polling. I know Democrats here feel a lot better about their prospects, like a lot better ever since the primary. I think the energy, the resources, and the money that is now flowing to David Crowley is an indication of that. And Congressman Tiffany is trying to take this position that is somewhat emergent in his party, that he's the man against data centers, and that David Crowley is not. And then David Crowley's taking the position, Greg and Neil, that he's the candidate against data centers and that Congressman Tiffany is not. Expect a whole lot of that over the next 68 days.
Scott, I always feel like, especially for us here in Wisconsin, battleground states, and when we do get some of these polls out, I know it's only August, but November will be here before we know it. We certainly are always curious kind of where things stand. Is that kind of the case in a lot of these other, battleground, maybe other purple states where maybe polling is a little more closely watched in some of those areas?
We've never been more distrustful in polling than we have been recently, but let's look through where else the numbers are similar to Wisconsin. In Arizona, there's an incumbent governor, Democrat Katie Hobbs, running against a Republican who was a certified election denier in 2020, a man named Andy Biggs. Close race according to the polling. Katie Hobbs is trying to galvanize independent voters in addition to Democrats to put her past the finish line. Ohio is all of a sudden a battleground state. That's a real 2004 thing to say, isn't it, Neil? But they're back in this situation where they have a gubernatorial race and a U.S. Senate race that is inside the margins according to polling. I think that's the best indication of where we are. Wisconsin is what Wisconsin is. It's always going to be at the forefront. It's always going to be competitive. But if Ohio is competitive again, that may show a national trend of an anti-incumbent fervor that is absolutely spreading among the electorate. No matter what your party is, if you're the person who is the institution, if you're the person who's in power, you're going to have a tougher time. And I think that's why you see, like in Ohio, the incumbent Republican senator is up against a wall, even in Ohio, against a Democratic challenger.
Where Tiffany and Crowley seem to share common ground here, Scott, is on the issue of affordability, which was a big point for President Trump in his run to the White House over Kamala Harris just a short while ago. Well, things are still expensive. Things are continuing to cost more. Both are preaching affordability as part of their campaign. I'm wondering if that is a microcosm of what we're seeing nationally. Usually it's, this side is on this side of one issue, the other side's on perhaps the opposing side of an issue, but affordability seems to have crossed over here.
It has. When I interviewed Mr. Crowley, he mentioned the word affordability several times, like in the first couple of minutes. But that is on message for any candidate right now. Voters aren't being subtle here. They're not equivocating. They're pretty clear that things cost too much, not just food. Not just gas, it's college, it's healthcare, it's transportation. And sometimes the candidates have to meet the moment, even if it's not their preferred issue. And I think that's why you see Congressman Tiffany and Mr. Crowley hitting hard on that. Thing is, the problem for Mr. Tiffany is that Trump seems to be all over the map on the issue of affordability. He has called it a made-up issue. And he doesn't mean it's a made-up in terms of people that aren't frustrated with costs. He's saying it's a democratic, mechanized issue against him. That's his argument. But he's also promoting the idea of data centers. He's also touting the stock market. He is not on message with other Republicans down ballot. And even though he's not on the ballot, his lack of enthusiasm for the issue of affordability is going to be a hindrance for people like Tom Tiffany and Republicans running elsewhere in Wisconsin.
Tariffs have been obviously the hot topic issue here the last few days with the kind of trade war with Canada going on. How could that maybe impact Tom Tiffany, obviously the president kind of, going at Canada here this week? How could that impact maybe Congressman Tiffany and kind of his position in running for the Republican spot?
I really do wonder how that plays in Southwest Wisconsin. I wonder if the unique and dramatic impact, Neil, this is having on farmers isn't going to be a drag on every candidate aligned with the president. We're seeing that in Iowa. That's why Iowa is an epicenter in this election, which sounds crazy to say out loud, but they have 3 congressional seats that could flip. A governor's mansion could flip. A Senate seat could flip in Iowa. And fertilizer prices, the uncertainty of costs for farmers is driving it. Yes, they're going to consider more bailouts for farmers, but that's not what farmers want. And we know there is a dairy farmer running to unseat Congressman Van Orden in La Crosse. And we know that farmers throughout the state are feeling the impacts of this, not in the long term, immediately. This is a problem that has to be overcome, and there are precious few days until voting starts.
Scott MacFarlane joining us from the nation's capital. You either have a great backdrop filter, Scott, or you actually are at the nation's capital right now. Where are you specifically? You kind of sound like you're in the marbled halls of somewhere.
Yeah, this is the Russell U.S. Senate building. This is one of the 3 Senate office buildings in Washington. This is also across the street from where all those cable networks have their cameras. And I've been doing the cable TV circuit today, so this was a good place to set up shop to talk to y'all. It's a good, safe place to be because the Congress is on recess. Both of our local senators are back home. It's kind of empty in here, so we can have a quiet conversation without me having to scream over the voices of everybody else in the Capitol today. It's also place for a good cheap lunch. The senators keep the prices down here for themselves. So if you want to get like a sandwich, a cup of soup, and a drink, this is affordable food here.
Yeah.
Well, that may be why there's less urgent about getting the food prices fixed for the rest of us.
It sounds like a great spot to do a fantasy football draft, maybe sometime now between now and maybe Labor Day or the day after.
2 of them this week, Greg. And so may I just ask our favorite Packers watchers, what do we make of the running back situation?
So you're very curious, right? So the Packers general manager was asked about that today. Like, how do you plan here? Like, shouldn't we know something on running back Josh Jacobs by now? And the word out of Green Bay is that the GM does not appear worried that his star running back will be suspended, though the NFL and Brown County are still looking into this domestic violence incident that Jacobs was linked to back around Memorial Day. Memorial Day, and here we are, Labor Day. So the span of summer, Scott, it is taken. So this is dragged out, and it's been quite a slow process. The GM doesn't seem overly worried. He's also battling a groin injury, and he's, 28, 29 years old, so take that into consideration as well.
The GM's not battling the groin injury, right? You mean Josh Jacobs?
As far as I know, I think his groin is fully intact. But yes, Josh Jacobs. Tucker Kraft is back. I know your favorite tight end. It looks like he's going to go after tearing his ACL back in November. Like, he'll be ready for week 1. So I know he's one of your guys. You're a big fan of him. I texted you when he tore his ACL in November. I was like, Scott, no, Kraft is done. And I know you're very sad about that, but he's back.
Those of us who are flirting with the age of 50 can't envision coming back from an ACL in anything less than 10 years. But my man's coming back because he is that kind of fighter. He is that kind of spirit. And he's got the ethos of lunch pail worker, which is obviously such a part of the Packers culture. He'll be back, and we're all very bullish on his prospects. All
right, Scott, we'll go through your favorite sleeper picks when we chat again next week. We appreciate it, man. Thank you.